Hi, because I'm an overachiever, I'm actually doing 2 videos for my top 11 lists. It should be noted that neither of these videos are about the topics that we were supposed to write about, but that's because we had boring topics, so I decided to make my own. This round, I'm going for the top 11 genre-bending musicians, because I just can't satisfy myself with your average, everyday punk rock anymore. Number 11 is Scroobius Pip, who I'm going to categorize as being a kind of medley between rap, hip-hop, electronica, and indie rock. The song that I'm linking to is called Thou Shalt Always Kill. I kind of like Scroobius Pip quite a bit because I'm generally not a rap fan, but I think his rap is kind of clever, if very, very hipstery, so I enjoy it. Number 10 is Emilie Autumn, who blends together classical music, industrial, pop, cabaret, and electronica. I'm linking down there to Opheliac and Marry Me. The first one of these is very, very industrial, while the second is very, very much classical and pop, kind of between the two. She's also a lot about the visual. If you listen to those songs, I highly recommend you go out and look up some videos of her performing or her in costume because she's sexy and so awesome. Number 9 is the Squirrel Nut Zippers, who kind of mush together jazz, swing, and rock in a glorious orgy of awesomeness. Now, it's hard to find a video of one of their songs on YouTube that isn't live, so I'm linking to Hell as performed on the Letterman show a couple years ago. They are actually probably one of the bigger bands on this list because most of these are kind of unknown. But apparently they were pretty popular in, I think, the mid-90s. Number 8 is The 10th Stage, which is a kind of blend of electronica, cabaret, and I'm going to call it experimental because I don't know what else to call it. Really, they're kind of on the new agey side of steampunk, but as steampunk isn't a genre that most people know, I'm just going to give it other words. I've linked to Cinderella's Revenge, which is a really neat song, and I also advise you to try and find El Dorado, which is catchy, and it will be stuck in your head, and 4 days later you're going to be like, oh my god, Morgan, I hate you, this song is stuck in my head. Number 7 is the Tiger Lillies, who are a kind of blend of cabaret, folk, punk, and something else. Probably insanity. They are really, really weird. Like Apartment weird. You've never heard of Apartment, but trust me, Apartment is really weird. Just take my word for it. I love them, but mostly because they're weird, and they're the kind of band you really can't listen to other people in the car because you can't explain why they're weird and why you're listening to them, but you love them so much. And I've linked to Killer, which is also fairly catchy. Number 6 is Diablo Swing Orchestra, who've been mentioned a couple other times. I found them first. You're all welcome. And they're kind of a combination of swing, symphonic or melodic metal, kind of like Nightwish, and classical. So basically it's like swing, and swing had glorious love-making with Nightwish and Within Temptation, and Diablo Swing Orchestra was the result. They are the most aptly named band on this list because they really do play diabolical swing music. I've linked to Balrog Boogie and A Rancid Romance. Their second CD is really better than their first, but they're both quite good. Number 5 is Amanda Palmer, the basically lead member of the Dresden Dolls, which is on hiatus, but that doesn't matter. They basically pioneered and invented the genre of punk cabaret, which is a combination of punk, obviously cabaret, folk, and indie rock. Below, I have linked to Girl Anachronism and Guitar Hero, which are kind of along the same lines of general sound, so I would advise you look up some of Amanda Palmer's other things. Number 4 is Matisyahu, who I really actually don't like that much, but he's on the list because I think what he's doing is interesting. He's kind of a combination of reggae, pop, and indie rock, and there's just this kind of know-it-all, holier-than-thou, look how liberal I am feel in all of his music that kind of makes me want to punch him in the face. I think he's just really stoned all the time, and that's how he writes that music. But anyways, I've linked to One Day, which I think is the only bearable song he's ever done, and even so, you still want to punch him. Number 3 is Gogol Bordello, who are a combination of punk and gypsy folk music. They are really, really fun. Like, really fun. I've linked to Start Wearing Purple, which you will be walking around singing all day. You're welcome. And number 2 is Janelle Monae, who's a fairly recent discovery of mine. She's like pop and funk and hip hop and dance and soul and art rock and all these other things had this like huge orgy in New York, and they made Janelle Monae together, and she's amazing. She's gorgeous, she's cute, she writes really clever music. Her 2 albums so far are a kind of combination concept album based on the classic sci-fi movie Metropolis, which is kind of rare, you know, in pop artists. But I've linked to Many Moons, which is very much on the pop hip-hop side of her sound, and Come Alive, War of the Roses, which is much further towards the rock side and is awesome. Number 1 is Dionysos, who are a French band who kind of combine alt-rock, cabaret, folk, punk, and some other just stuff they kind of found lying around the workshop floor of music making. My favorite album of theirs also relates to a book that the lead singer wrote. Yes, he also writes books. He is insanely talented. They are awesome. I've linked to Tais-toi mon coeur, which is insanely catchy and has a gorgeous music video to go with. And Le jour le plus froid du monde. Yes, I can say it. I can actually sing it all too. Which does not have a music video, sadly enough, but somebody made a nifty animation. And they are both quite neat and steampunky and gorgeous. And the book, I'd say read the book if you like the album and you want to know the story that goes with it. It's a cute story. Very, very depressing, but cute. So that is the end of my lists. You are welcome. And go check out these songs and see what you think.